The NFL Draft, the dawn of a new day in the league, where young men go from being college stars to household names or flamed out busts. A time of celebration, at least for most teams across the league, to cheer on these new faces of franchises and welcome them in with open arms. Some drafts are very memorable and others forgettable. How does this year's draft look? Who will be selected where and when? Many try to answer these questions, so I stole all of their answers and created the most comprehensive mock draft out of any other possible mock draft so that you didn't have to. This is the ultimate 2023 NFL mock draft. In the research for this video, I took from several outlets to collect as much draft data as possible to create a relatively close to realistic draft that could occur on Thursday. This mock only considers the first round, because a 7-round mock would take literal years off of my life. I am also not going to be considering any recent news concerning the draft. At this point, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors across the league. Getting too sucked into them is a pretty bad idea. With that being said, the first pick has just been entered by Carolina. With the first pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama. Consistently across all but one mock draft, Bryce Young was selected first by the Panthers, and I can't fault them for this pick. Despite the issues with his height not being that of an average quarterback, although this hasn't stopped Kyler Murray from being a number 1 pick and getting a massive contractual haul in the prior offseason, Young is still too good of a player to pass on unless your sights are set on a different QB. For Carolina, when the need is so desperately quarterback, why not take the best of the bunch right now? With the second pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select C.J. Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State. Like Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud is an excellent signal caller and was throughout his career at Ohio State. Stroud was the only other player in the data to receive a first overall selection, thanks to the ringer. Nonetheless, this speaks to how good of a selection this would be for the Texans, a team with the potential pieces for a quality offense lacking a real quarterback with prowess. Here is their answer, so long as they don't trade this pick away or try to fill a different team need. With the third pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Will Anderson Jr., edge, Alabama. While the first two picks were desperately looking for someone to command their offenses into the future, Arizona seemingly has that problem solved with Kyler Murray. In this sense, Arizona could trade down to capitalize on the valuable selection they have in their possession and try to help Kyler offensively. But that terrible Cards D was 31st out of 32 in points against last season. Why not take a shot for the best defensive and arguably best overall player available at this selection in Anderson Jr. while you got it, who was consistently selected here in a third of mocks. With the fourth pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Anthony Richardson, quarterback, Florida. We are back again with these quarterback-hungry teams, and after the failed experiment that was a revolving door of elderly quarterbacks, finally taking a chance on one in the draft is a breath of fresh air for Colts fans. Richardson, consistently selected between 3rd and 4th overall, would turn a normally bland, Jonathan Taylor-oriented offense into, with the proper development of course, a multifaceted offensive powerhouse and a real threat in the AFC South. In the short term, however, it gives Shane Steichen his new Jalen Hurts. With the fifth pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Jalen Carter, defensive lineman, Georgia. There is a serious argument in NFL circles that Jalen Carter is one of the best prospects in this draft in a position that isn't as deep with talent as classes of years past. Carter's talent has him hovering in the upper first round. However, Carter has some baggage with him, primarily a criminal charge that was handled in the courts and a poor showing at his pro day in Georgia. Seattle has a need in defensive line, and they can handle a player like this, so long as the predicted on-field production comes to fruition. With the 6th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Devin Witherspoon, defensive back, Illinois. Detroit is in a peculiar situation. They've had a very successful season last year, despite people believing they would be regressing in form and looking to take a quarterback in this draft. Now, Jared Goff might stick around just a bit longer if he's this successful at the helm. One area that truly sucked was pass coverage, and with Okudah sent packing to Atlanta for little back, now is as good a time as any to bring in a fresh face. Across several boards, Witherspoon was selected right here over Gonzalez and other defensive backs. With the 7th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Christian Gonzalez, defensive back, Oregon. Speaking of Gonzalez, half of the draft boards had Gonzalez ending up a Raider. You might argue that the Raiders really need to find help offensively that won't upset Davante Adams into requesting to be traded away. They don't really solve that here. Instead, they're trying to protect the other side of the ball from the bombardments of Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson for future seasons to come. With the 8th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Tyree Wilson, edge, Texas Tech. In most of the mocks, this is fairly low for Tyree to fall to, as the average draft position was closer to 7, but all the teams ahead of Atlanta needed different positions filled. Except for Arizona, but Will Anderson Jr. was still the best player available. In this mock of mocks, Tyree basically falls into Atlanta's lap without having to trade up to fill a position of need for free. Sometimes doing nothing is the best move. With the 9th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Peter Skoronski, offensive tackle, Northwestern. It is crazy that we have almost made it out of the top 10 without an O-lineman being selected, but here comes the first of many in this area. The Bears originally held the top selection, but dealt it away to give Fields a pass catcher for the future in DJ Moore. Now, like 2/3 of mocks predicted, you go for an O-lineman to protect Fields for the future. Which O-lineman you got was a different story, but Skoronski was consistently taken higher than the rest, so I would expect Skoronski to become a Bear come draft night. With the 10th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Lukas Van Ness, edge, Iowa. What a weird year we are in, where the Eagles made it to a Super Bowl and have a top 10 draft pick to play around with. They can easily trade this selection away to a quarterback-hungry team and potentially get a haul of more picks to build with for future bowl runs. However, most mocks had the Eagles looking at their defensive ends thinking, how do we make this scarier, before grabbing Van Ness and making their D-line a truly unstoppable force. With the 11th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky. Part of the reason why I don't believe the Eagles will get many good offers trading down is because Tennessee is in a ripe position to take a quarterback, even if Atlanta drafts one at 8, which is unlikely but a possibility nonetheless. Levis was only selected here in 1/3 of mocks, but it could make the most sense here if they don't love the Malik Willis idea. I also wouldn't be surprised if they went with Smith-Njigba here, but Levis takes the cake for now, as we've seen GMs go back on drafting other QBs from years past. Just ask Josh Rosen. With the 12th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Jaxon Smith-Njigba, wide receiver, Ohio State. The clear number 1 wide receiver of the draft class has arrived. He consistently mocked as either an 11th or 12th pick. Both the Titans and Texans have a need to draft a wide receiver in this draft. I just feel the Titans have pressing issues in other areas they need to fix, and the Texans can pull a Bengals galaxy brain move and give Stroud his complement as his top pass-catching wideout in college at no extra cost. You can thank the Browns for that Buckeye tandem. With the 13th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Broderick Jones, offensive tackle, Georgia. The Aaron Rodgers era of the Packers has come and gone. With that, a new era must arise with Jordan Love at the helm after being behind Rodgers for multiple MVP caliber seasons. While the receivers are freshly in their second year, the need shifts again to offensive line as Goody looks to protect the quarterback of the future that he drafted with the best remaining tackle in Broderick Jones, who floated around this pick and was selected here in one mock. With the 14th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, Tennessee. The Patriots are one of the most difficult teams to mock straight up. The hoodie does so much crazy shit with his draft picks, many including myself didn't know where exactly he would look to go. Some gave him Bijan, others suggested defensive backs to fill pass coverage holes, but the best idea would be to draft an O-lineman while they're coming in hot to protect whatever quarterback Belichick is going to throw out on any given Sunday. Darnell floated all over first round draft boards, and I feel like a team that is hard to gauge will draft the player that is hard to gauge and live happily ever after. With the 15th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Harris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle, Ohio State. Spoiler alert, this is the first position avalanche, where teams go position draft crazy and snag all of the talent in a position really fast. We start with O-line, and the Jets are mocked to take an O-lineman in all but one mock from the data. Harris Johnson Jr. was selected for this pick in a third of mocks, and he floats around this selection on average as well, making him the perfect pass-protecting option for Aaron Rodgers. We'll be taking a quick intermission from the draft to say, be sure to give this video a like if you've been enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, why not give a quick subscribe? With the 16th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Joey Porter Jr., defensive back, Penn State. We finally made it out of that offensive lineman avalanche, just like how Commanders fans are finally done with the avalanche of controversy from former owner Dan Snyder. As Commanders fans look forward to the future, this new era kicks off with a player selected here in half of all mocks examined. Washington's pass defense is nowhere near as good as its defensive line. A key upgrade in DB is the right move, and Joey Porter Jr. fits that bill. With the 17th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Myles Murphy, edge, Clemson. The Steelers' top priorities aren't particularly at edge. They really need O-line help and DBs to play pass defense. However, that recent O-line avalanche took with it all the top quality prospects, and it would be a bit too early to take any of the remainders. And this DB class has the talent that could be selected here for sure, but these issues can wait, especially when you have a very early second round pick to play with. Instead, I see Pittsburgh looking to grab Murphy here, who flew all over draft boards but averages close to this pick, as a potential replacement to Alex Highsmith if they don't want to overpay him next season. With the 18th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Michael Mayer, tight end, Notre Dame. Do you remember when Detroit traded TJ Hawkinson away to the Vikings for a second and a third? It's because with their pick, they can get the future of that position with Michael Mayer. He was selected at this point in the draft in a third of all mocks, and it just makes the most sense for Detroit to give another pass-catching option to Jared Goff now. With the 19th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Nolan Smith, edge, Georgia. In the modern NFL, getting pressure to quarterbacks has never been more paramount in the league. While some might argue the Bucs should look for their QB of the future at this pick or improve an O-line that has seen better days, why not go and grab a guy selected at this pick in a third of mocks and get the best edge still in the draft with Nolan Smith, especially shoring up a defense in the event that White wants out of town. With the 20th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Jordan Addison, wide receiver, USC. I know what you're thinking with this pick, but they already have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Why go get another pass catcher? Well, Lockett is entering his age 31 season in the league, and while he doesn't have any signs of slowing down now, they could come up in the near future. Since the D-line concerns have already been quelled with the Carter selection, let's give freshly minted contract Geno Smith a pass catcher for the long term in Addison, selected here in a single mock. After this selection would have been the Miami Dolphins at 21. However, they fucked around with the league's anti-tampering rule after talking to Sean Payton and Tom Brady about doing a potential Super Bowl run meetup in Miami that led to them losing this selection along with the third round pick next season. As such, the draft continues on, now the proper 21st selection in the draft. With the 21st pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Zay Flowers, wide receiver, Boston College. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot to mention, we're in another one of those positional avalanches, and this time it's wide receivers. Here, the Chargers look in their receiving room and find the core to be climbing in age. Happy belated 30th birthday to Keenan Allen there. With potential outs for both Allen and Mike Williams in the near future, a smart move would be to start building towards a potential future piece in the position to allow Herbert options for the future. Zay was already selected in this exact position in half of mocks, so I would say he's likely to become a Charger come draft night. With the 22nd pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Quentin Johnston, wide receiver, TCU. Alright Baltimore, it has become desperate times in the Lamar era. You cannot let a regular season MVP walk away from your team, not when you are so close to the mountaintop. Sure, Odell will keep him satisfied for this season, but what about next season? If you want to sign Lamar and you want to do it cheaper, you go out there and select a wide receiver to give him something to look forward to when you inevitably give him a slightly better but still not enough guaranteed money to make me happy kind of deal. Also, just pay the man what he wants. With the 23rd pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Bijan Robinson, running back, Texas. Yes, Bijan is far down in this draft board. Yes, his average draft position is higher. No, I don't care. All the teams that were mocked to select him had greater needs that they could immediately fill with their selection. Bijan was mocked to go here in only one mock draft, but this is the best choice of them all. The ability to learn behind Dalvin Cook and become a 1-2 punch in the run game while giving Kirk plenty of options to throw to as well turns the purple playoff pretenders into purple Super Bowl contenders. With the 24th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Deonte Banks, defensive back, Maryland. Jacksonville consistently looked to fix defensive backs in the first round. Of all the defensive backs mocked for the Jags, Banks makes the most sense, who was only selected to come here in one. It seems like the team is sending a clear message with this selection to Calvin Ridley about where to invest his money to keep the league happy and not ban his ass from the league for life. With the 25th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Brian Branch, safety, Alabama. After last season's spectacular drafting performance, snagging 2 at one point potentially number 1 overall, excellent selections to improve both sides of the ball rapidly in one draft, the Giants look to strike gold again. Most mocks had the Giants selecting an interior offensive lineman here. I just firmly believe that New York will be able to find their man in the second round. So with that, they go to their secondary need. As in they take Brian Branch, who was picked here in one mock, to build an impressively young, terrifying defensive core. With the 26th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Dalton Kincaid, tight end, Utah. It would not be a mock draft without Dallas drafting someone for their offense. Since they have activated the 5th year of CeeDee Lamb's rookie deal and they've lost Dalton Schultz to free agency, it would make the most sense to get an immediate upgrade in a position of need for the Dallas offense. Dalton Kincaid was understandably selected in a third of mocks. With the 27th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Jalin Hyatt, wide receiver, Tennessee. Consistently across most mock drafts, it seems as though most were content with Buffalo shoring up their receiving core with Diggs potentially wanting out of town. Since all the mock wide receivers were already selected in that avalanche a couple selections ago, I'll go with the final guy who was selected here in one mock and go with Tennessee product Jalin Hyatt. With the 28th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Bryan Bresee, defensive line, Clemson. This is the only pick that I had to veto every selection that any mock made for the Bengals. Many mocks had the Bengals drafting a tight end here, either Kincaid, who was already drafted by Dallas, and Luke Musgrave from Oregon State. My issue with Musgrave is that he wasn't consistently selected in these mock first rounds, and the only place he showed up was in this selection here, meaning that this is really the only team to be competing for him this early on. Any other players either have already been selected, like Brian Branch from the Giants, or Darnell Wright, who went really early to New England, or they never showed up in any other first round mocks. Apologies to Addison WR. With no other options left, I went with the only selection that made sense and filled a similar position to Adebawore, but someone who is selected more often in these mocks with Bryan Bresee, who also floated on average around this pick. With the 29th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Calijah Kancey, defensive line, Pittsburgh. Another team looking for their D lineman of the future is New Orleans, who selected 1 2/3 of all mocks. Which D lineman it was varied, including Mazi Smith, but I felt as though he sat as a high-end second-round talent as he wasn't even selected in half of the first-round mocks examined. Instead, I opted for Kancey, who was slightly more regularly drafted in the first and selected in this position as many times as Mazi was. After that selection, it seems that there's been a trade for the 30th pick. The Eagles have dealt pick 30 to the Commanders in exchange for a 2023 second and a 2024 second round pick. Now it seems that the Commanders have sent in their selection. With the 30th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Hendon Hooker, quarterback, Tennessee. Yes, we have officially gone off the rails with this selection, and I get that. Hooker was never selected with this pick, but did float around the bottom half of mock drafts. I do believe that the Eagles would look to deal this selection away to some team, even if it is for only a meager return. Many teams might fear trading with the draft king, not sponsored, giant Howie Roseman. However, Washington sees an opportunity to make a splash on draft night and take a risk on a new QB of the future. They deal away more high-value future capital in exchange for another high-risk, high-reward player in Hooker. If this pans out, Washington built their dynasty of the future with one simple trade and 2 incredible selections. If it falls flat, this is a rocky start in new ownership regarding the on-field product. But let's be honest, anything will be better than Dan Snyder as owner. With the 31st pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select DeWand Jones, offensive tackle, Ohio State. Finally, the Super Bowl champs are looking to continue their title defense campaign strong by getting another pass-protecting option to keep Mahomes standing in the pocket. DeWand Jones was selected here in one mock, and while I could be persuaded to them selecting an edge here, I just think that they can find value in that position later on in this draft. So why wait to fill a position of need for the future and keep Mahomes happy and healthy when DeWand is here for the taking? And thus concludes the first round of the NFL mock draft. If you're still here, be sure to like the video and subscribe to see more videos like this across more sports in the future. I've been your host Hunter. Be good people. Peace.